Okay, we have Jeff Sonnenfeld with us, fresh off of hosting his Yale CEO caucus in Washington this week. Jeff, it's great to have you. I've been at some of your CEO conferences, and they are always dynamic. They're always spicy. What are the headlines coming out of this one here today?
Well, thanks, Morgan. You would have liked this one, I think, especially. We had a mix of 100 CEOs, from consumer products to consulting, from automotive to advertising, from media to manufacturing, retailers, technology, the biggest companies in the country. And none of them, by the way, is a historic break for the Republican Party. None of these people supported the Republican candidate. No major Fortune 100 CEO did. And this is only a Donald Trump phenomena. However, after he won, they universally rallied behind him. And we thought that was great. They made trips down to Mar-a-Lago. They talked about company-specific issues, strategic issues they could work with. And now he squandered that goodwill. What we're finding is that as many as 80% of them tell us that these tariffs are highly inflationary, and 70% say actually that the Trump economic initiatives are bad for the economy. The whipsawing that they have, that we actually had today, 12 different bulletins that contradicted themselves from the Trump administration. And these people threw their arms up in the air. They were sighing. We had, just between us, we had Eamon Javers there getting news feeds off of Truth Social. And he's telling us, and CEOs were sighing, like, oh my gosh, now what? They were trying to figure out how to commit billions of dollars of capital with something which is being whipsawed around, not just day to day, minute to minute. And there's just been nothing like this. They're confused as to why we're attacking our allies instead of our adversaries. There's one added twist that caught us by surprise, and that was they're almost ready to confront him. Right now, as we're talking, the Business Roundtable is meeting with him, and they said they want to talk to him about these issues. But, of course, they were cautious about not wanting to poke the bear. But they did say they're ready to talk about the degradation of national security, which caught us by surprise, that was the issue that they were universally. 90% of them were upset about that, which we thought they were tracking the economic issues so much more. They thought that the stock market would have to fall another 10, 15% before they dramatically confront privately the president about this, but through collective action. When
you say degradation of national security, what do you mean? Do you mean DOGE cuts? Do you mean the fact that a lot of the trade policy we're playing out in real time right now is happening with Canada and Mexico, and lesser so with China, which is seen as an adversary to the country and certainly the biggest national security threat? What is it?
No, very good question. While they're upset about us undermining strong allied relations, and by the way, 85% of them are in favor of tariffs, selective tariffs. There are issues. President Trump is right. The trade negotiators are right on steel and aluminum issues that are being shipped through Canada. And nobody said that the President Trump is completely wrong. It's the process of what they're doing here. But when you get to national security, it isn't just kicking our allies in the face. Some of them need to. We had some very prominent Canadian officials in with us who just said there needs to be more burden sharing, and they agree with President Trump that while they might cut off our electricity coming out of Ontario into Minnesota and Michigan, they thought they could pay more in terms of NATO support and defense. However, what they're most worried about is the dismissal of thousands of patriotic, expert FBI agents that are nonpartisan, the demoralization at the CIA, the dismissal of the foreign interference task forces in the Justice Department, and the suspension of vital protective mechanisms for cybersecurity intrusions, of which there are almost 1,000 attacks a day on the White House alone, that we would be letting our guard down. They were bewildered by that. And they also have already started to talk to them about the CHIPS Act, which they thought should have been restored.